Hi, I'm Naomi. I am both a mathematician and an engineer. So today I'd really love to share my journey with you. First of all, I am currently a part-time aerospace employee, so my title is engineer. But I have a bachelor's in math, a master's in math, and I'm currently getting my PhD in math. And so I'm in applied math, which means I can do a plethora of things, and as well as pure mathematicians. But what that means is that one option for an applied mathematician is to have the title of an engineer, and so that's what I'm doing. Now, I didn't always know I wanted to be a mathematician. Growing up, I wanted to be a cowgirl because I wanted to wear the boots, and I also wanted to be either a policewoman or a firewoman because I wanted the dog. So clearly, the accessory to the career was more important to me than the career itself. As I got a little bit older, starting into middle school and high school, I started to actually really stress out about this question of what do you want to be when you grow up? I remember being at this conference in high school and they said some statistic about, the decisions you make between the ages of 16 and 25 determine the trajectory for your entire life. Now, if I wasn't already freaked out about my life, I definitely was then. I just remember being so worried. Well, I need to figure out where I'm going to college and what I'm going to major in because I can mess it up if I don't choose right. Looking back, I did not need to be so stressed. If this is you in your position, please know that it's going to be okay. You don't have to know it all now. Sometimes it's okay to just make it up as you go. And that's a little bit of what I did. So I ended up going to college and I still didn't know what to major in. So I was a general studies major, which was undecided at my university. I signed up for this Calculus 1 course because I thought, well, that's a prereq for a lot of these degrees that maybe I'll decide I want, so I'll keep my doors open. And it turned out I had this fantastic Calculus 1 teacher, and I loved my class. It was the class that I looked forward to going to every day. And I was so I remember one day I was talking to my professors in her office, chatting, about something. And she pulls up my file and says, "Hey, you're doing really well. Have you thought about being a math major?" And as maybe you all thought when you heard that I had a math degree, what can you do with a math degree? And, she said, "Oh, there's plenty of things you can do with that." And so I was like, "Okay, I'm sold." So I became a math major. And soon I decided I wanted to be a college professor. I had had a lot of tutoring experience and I just loved that teaching and student interaction. Fast forward to the end of college, I was burnt out. To be a college professor, you have to go to grad school, and 5 more years of grad school did not sound fun to me. So I took a break. I found an internship in a national lab, and I was a little freaked out because I thought I wanted to be a professor. But here I was not going to grad school, so did I want to be a professor, or what was I going to do? So I was in that same boat that I was before I chose to be a math major. So I was a little freaked out again, but a little less freaked out, which was good. At each stage in my journey, I became a little less freaked out when things became uncertain, which has been encouraging. All right, so I'm at this lab. Everyone has PhDs, everyone knows a lot more than me. And I decide there was a lot more that I wish that I knew about the field that I was in. And so I go back to grad school, still thinking I wanted to be a professor. Along the way, I got this internship and I decided I actually really like working in industry. So they hired me on part-time after my internship concluded. And that's where I am now, working part-time at this aerospace company and finishing up my degree. And so once I graduate, I plan to go full-time at this aerospace company. They've treated me well, and I can share a little bit of my experience at that specific company as well. And I looked up on SWE's website, Society of Women Engineers, and they, from a study in 2019, reported that only 13% of engineers are women. 13%. That's so small. And this explains a lot of my experiences. And so, like I said, for the last, it's been about 2 years now that I've been working in this aerospace company as an engineer alongside many other engineers. I am almost always the only woman in a meeting, which sometimes I notice and sometimes I don't. But I do find myself, if I am, not a large, a big participator in the meeting, I'm kind of sitting back and watching. I do usually take stock and say, okay, there are 12 people in this meeting and I'm the only woman, or there are only 2 women in this meeting. And that's, not the men's fault, but it does present some of its own challenges. I will say I'm thankful for the company that I work for. They very much value diversity of, not just race and gender and all of these things that come to mind, but also diversity of thought. And so as a mathematician in an engineering field, I do feel very valued in that. So I, for the most part, really feel thankful to be in this company. I think for me, most of the experiences, the negative experiences in being a woman, just boil down to the little things. I'm thankful. I have many friends who have had much more challenging experiences because of their gender in this field, and so I'm thankful that I have not had those, and I'm also very sad that they have. But I know that for me, and as well as many other women who haven't had these very, very big, unfortunate experiences, it kind of boils down to all of the little things. I have this senior engineer that I've been working with. He's a staff consultant, so he's very very good at what he does, very experienced. He's been around for quite a while. He frequently, when he's around me, talks about how much he appreciates women in math by saying things like, "Oh, there's this woman mathematician that I really respect," and and "Oh, there's this woman engineer," and but it's that whole, why does it matter if she's a woman? Can she respect her either way? And so it's just kind of little things like that, and just this surprise when people find out that I'm an engineer or a mathematician, kind of day by day, depending on what I tell people. But just this surprise that I am in that field. And I get mad. You don't meet as many mathematicians, but there's a lot of engineers, and people don't have that same reaction when they hear my husband's an engineer. I went to a conference recently, and it was in Hawaii, so I brought my husband with, of course. How could I not? And it was an incredible conference, but I did bring him to a few meet and greets, and he's wonderful. He, supports me, and, just really amazing person. But everyone, when we were meeting them, everyone just was so surprised that, just assumed that I was the plus one to the conference everywhere we went. And it was kind of this joke like, "Oh, my wife's just going to be sitting on the beach while I'm off working. What are you going to do while your wife's off working?" Kind of this joking mentality that, "Oh, well, your wife's the worker here." And so that was unfortunate for myself and for my husband to not just be able to be confident in being the plus one in it. And he was very confident in that. It's just the little things. I had this guard station at the national lab that I worked at, and I remember going through and this old man calling me cutie, and I was like, should I be creeped out, or is he just this sweet old man? But I had to think he probably didn't say that to any of my male colleagues. "Oh, hey, Alex. Hey, cutie." And it's just a lot of little things that I don't think about on a day-to-day. But every now and then they do boil up, and I remember that I am different that when people see me, they don't see an engineer per se. That it's different, and sometimes different's okay, and sometimes it's hard. Now, those are some of the harder things that I've experienced as being a woman in this STEM field. And again, so now I think I've overall had really positive experiences. I think that we are in this time of empowering women in leadership and in STEM, and we want them. And I really do feel that, especially at this aerospace company I'm at. And I don't think this is the case for all companies, but I think there has been this big push to empower women, which I am just so thankful for the women that blazed the trail before me. That was a tough job, and I'm so thankful for them. I think that because I'm often one of the few women in the room, when there is another woman in the room, we kind of have this bond, of support. I remember there's this really stupid stereotype that women don't get along and women are catty. And maybe there was a time when that's how it was, because women had to fight for that to be in the position that they were in, and so they had to fight other women because they were the competition. I don't know, but I really hate when people say that, because that has not been my experience, or any of the women that I have interacted with. It has not been their experience. I have seen this incredible sense of community with these other women, kind of bonding together in this experience of being different and just experiencing the world in a little bit different way. And so that's just been an incredible experience to have. There's all kinds of groups out there that you can be part of, or just band together with the women that you see. And like I said, just like the empowerment and the opportunities are greater than they ever have been before for women in STEM. And I'm thankful and I'm encouraged to see, the future trajectory of women in STEM. So that's kind of my experience of, how I got to be where I am, and a few things that have shaped me, and, as a human and as a woman in STEM. Appreciate you listening.